welcome back, guys. This is not the podcast. This is just an intro section to the podcast you're about to see, which is with Nick from Cook with Nick. He's been a smoking hypnotherapist for about 15 years now. He's a very interesting bloke. So I'm going to link his website and all his stuff down in the description. So, yeah, enjoy the video. Oh, and my brother, Yahya, is not in the video because he's out for work, unfortunately. But in the next one, he's going to be back. It's going to be back to the normal structure. So enjoy the podcast.
Yes.
All right. Nick, it's great to have you on, man.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for the invite.
What is hypnotherapy?
What is it? God, start with the big questions first. What I am.
We've got to get those out of the way.
Hey?
We got to get those out of the way, man. We got to.
What is hypnotherapy? Well, you see, some things have been around for a long time, but what we call them changes, right? Yeah. So, one of the things I like to mention to people who have misconceptions, and unless you've studied it, you would have hit misconceptions.
Yeah,
everyone has a misconception about hypnosis because everyone has seen stage shows and movies and RSL club shows. Unless you've studied it, you're not going to know exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's basically making a change through the trance state, an altered state of awareness. Hypnotherapy is just a newer word for a process and an experience that's been around for thousands of years. People have been getting into altered states and trance states for as long as we've been on two legs, you know. Yeah. So it's not anything new. This is what I often tell people. It's not, you know, it's been around for a long time. The word hypnotherapy maybe hasn't. Yeah. But that doesn't mean...
But the practice has been around for a while.
Yeah.
Or even the state of being, because I was going to ask you, like, we're in hypnotic states a million times throughout the day.
Yes. 7 to 9, not a million, but,
but
7 to 9 times a day.
Okay.
We go in anything where you are relaxed, focus, and it has your attention. Okay. You meet the criteria for going into trance. It's really easy. Self-hypnosis is actually an easy thing to learn. It's like it's a twist on meditation. That's all. It's a twist on meditation.
So I'm going to say hypnotism. Is it more, I guess, focused than meditation? Is it more focusing on one thing?
You're asking what the difference is essentially?
Yeah, because I mean, I guess I understand the difference. The way I see it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess I see meditation as like vitamins, and then hypnotherapy or hypnotism is like antibiotics.
Let's say you want to exercise. You can exercise in different environments, right? Let's say hypnosis happens in the meditative state.
Yeah.
So like exercise can happen inside a gym, but you don't have to be in a gym to exercise, right? So that's what I often tell people. You are going to be in a meditative state, and different people have different levels of their ability to go into the state. If I see a regular meditator, it's just going to feel like guided meditation to them. A lot of people I see don't meditate, though, or never have, so it's very new to them. So that's how I explain it. The goal, the aim, quit smoking or vaping, cigarettes, whatever it is you're working on, the work happens inside the meditative state. But this isn't just a meditation. Like, it's meditation with a purpose. And focus. Yeah. It's this sort of thing, you know.
See, that's what I find very interesting about it, is because, I mean, I'm taught all the time, or I guess I see online, that meditation is, nowadays especially, is required to maintain focus. Like it's basically a drug where it's like, this is going to fix your focus. So I'm like, that's why I was amazed that hypnotism, or I'm going to say hypnotherapy, doesn't have the same pull that meditation or even medicinal drugs do. Why is that? Why hasn't it been implemented in practice, like medical practice?
I mean, that's a pretty easy question to answer. You got to you got to follow the money.
I mean, but
follow the money of the industry.
Yeah, but like CBT, for example, has been introduced into psychologists and obviously psychoanalysis and all that. Why has it been like hypnotherapy?
Well, you see, when it comes to talk therapy, like all kinds of psychology. See, psychiatrists
Yeah.
are basically doctors. So, and a lot of people jumble this up.
Yeah.
Psychiatrist to psychologist. I mean, you'd know the difference.
No,
You're
obviously,
studying
yeah,
psychology, but a lot of people don't. A psychiatrist is basically have the same training as a GP, and they've done a little tack on of counselling. So they are predominantly drug trained.
I wouldn't say they're therapists.
Drug trained.
Yeah.
Their sessions are generally 15, 20 minutes, if that, because they're about assessing what kind of drug do I have to give you, and the next time you come back, we're going to manage the drug levels. It's not counsel. It's not talk therapy.
it's not
Psychologists can't issue a drug, so that's why their sessions are 45 to an hour, because you need to nut it through. You need to actually have a deeper dialogue, right? So to answer your question, like, why hasn't it been implemented in medical mainstream as far as hypnotherapy? The main answer you always get is, there isn't any research to back up whether that's effective. I've called, just to give you an example, I've called the quit line pretending to be a smoker. I've done it a few times over the years just because I like to, obviously it's my industry, I like to know something that gets pushed so much on the TV and on radio. What do they say? What do they say? And basically, when you call them, they will give you two options, essentially. They'll give you tips to quit cold turkey, or say go see your doctor and get a drug. And I've said, pretending to be the smoker, what about hypnosis? I've heard a few people I know have quit. We can't recommend that. There's no research. There's no solid evidence to show that actually works. Why? Because to do clinical research, to do it well, is damn expensive. Millions. You have to hire out you have to have a clinic in a hospital usually to pay people. They're not always volunteers. I did drug trials in the UK. I got paid quite good money for just simple things, and it helped me fund my travels around the world. It's really expensive. So if you're going to invest a lot of money to do a clinical trial to get evidence for something, why are you going to spend that money to show there is evidence that something works that doesn't require the prescription of a drug? Of course not. No one's going to fund that.
But I mean, I was under the impression there was always evidence for it. At least in America. At least in America, there is.
It depends how you define evidence. It depends on your definition. If you're saying clinical evidence where it's been done in a very controlled, there's different ways to gather evidence. I mean, I could run my own study. I could just do a session with someone, follow them up a week later, a month later, 3 months, 6 months, and I can just run my own. But that's not going to. It's not going to get recognised. Yeah, exactly. Well, what journal was that in? Is that in the American Journal or the British Journal of Medicine? No, studies, and it's all, you got to understand the system and how it's all made to grease its own wheels. Right? Yeah. So follow the money. I just say to people who think, I'm a conspiracy theorist, it's like, I'll wear that label happily, firstly. Conspiracy theory. Yeah, sure. Okay. I mean, how many things over the years have come out that, people were being labelled, that's just, yeah, okay. I don't care. Whatever. If people want to label me that, I'm fine.
No, I think in regards to
follow the money.
Medical industry.
Follow the money.
And the pharmaceutical industry, it's not exactly very surprising that these things are true, obviously.
I mean, God, these days we've got information. And look, it's a double-edged sword. We have information at our fingertips. So on one hand, you can figure stuff out. We're not as dumb now as we were, 30, 40 years ago. You can't just hoodwink. But at the same time, you got to also navigate the crap that's out there. And that's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy to think well. To be logical, to see. Just because everyone's got a brain, it doesn't mean everyone has the same level of thinking capacity.
Exactly.
Like, just because I've got 2 legs, it doesn't mean I can run a marathon or be a sprinter I've got the legs, but I don't have the skills or the training. Or same thing with thinkers. People think, because I've got a brain and, I can think well. No, not everyone thinks well.
Yeah.
What does it take to be someone who can think well? Like, that's a big question. There's many elements to it. Education definitely has a role to play.
Yeah. Well, what other factors would there be?
gee, the environment you grew up in, your parents, if they encouraged you to think, what kind of things you were into as a kid, what kind of things you feed your time with, what do you keep in your space around you. It's a good indicator of what you value. Look at someone's bookshelf, if they even have one. Like, what do they read? Like, a lot of things.
Of course, I'm asking that question crudely, but obviously
there's quite a lot of things.
I would say even obviously genetics has a part to play in it as well. But back to the hypnotherapy, because we can rant about this topic for literally
totally
3 hours, and we'll get back to it. But I wanted to ask you, a lot of people, for example, I know someone that I work with who went to a hypnotherapist, and he's like, yeah, man, I spent this amount of money. And I went, and then I walked out, and I started vaping and smoking instantly. Afterwards, it did nothing to me.
Oh, look.
All right?
There's a lot of reasons for that.
Exactly, right? So that's what I'm going to... And I think, obviously, we know those reasons. But I think a lot of people won't, because they think that it's I go there, I get hypnotized, that's it.
Yeah, no, it's not like taking your car to the mechanic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got a broken head gasket. Fine, we'll just change the head gasket. Done. You don't drive away going, that didn't work. Yeah. Like, it's mechanical,
Yeah.
When it comes to a good result, especially for smoking, like I only do smoking because, there's a lot of reasons for why I only do smoking. But if someone walks out of a session and starts smoking, they weren't prepared. I'll go even a step further. There wasn't a proper phone assessment, a thorough assessment by the hypnotherapist to determine if they're a good candidate. Typically, it's like, I can see you tomorrow. When do you want to come in? I'll just, you want to see me? No problem. I'll take your money.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be a thorough assessment first. I don't see everyone who calls me. I've had people be annoyed that I didn't take their money. And I said to them, I don't think this is going to help you. I don't think you're in the right place. And they got annoyed and pissed. One lady about 4 months ago, you've been reported. For what? Not taking your money?
That's going to affect the business.
Like, really? I have a say in this too. Like, it's my business. I can refuse you anyway. The other is they weren't prepared properly. They walked into the session and even were sitting in hypnosis, not even knowing what was going on. That's another potential reason. The hypnotherapists might not just be very skilled at what they're doing. They generally will do a bit of everything. Yeah, I can help with smoking, but I also do 20 other things I could help you with. They're not specialised. They maybe have never smoked before, so they don't understand the problem very well. Or the person was expecting a silver bullet, and when they didn't get it...
I think that's most people,
But you see, this is where it comes down to preparing a client properly. And I say to people, there's a catch-22 here. The more you're expecting to find the easy way out of smoking and the more you're expecting to find a silver bullet, the more you will never find it, because your mindset is looking for an easy way out, right? You're looking for the easy trip. You're looking for the method to do all the heavy lifting. Guess what? It's not. It's like if you went to a personal trainer and you wanted to lose 20 kilos. I don't have to actually do anything, do I? Just meet up with you and
I think because most people don't actually, in regards to the people that I've spoken with, they don't actually understand what it is. So they think in their heads, I'm going to go there, this is going to happen to me.
Yeah, no.
And it's going to change my brain.
No.
Obviously, that's not the case. But
the more someone is willing to do all the work, the more the hypnosis can seem like a silver bullet. See the conundrum? The more the more you're looking for a silver bullet, the more nothing will work for you. We all know smokers who say, I've tried everything, nothing works.
Yeah.
No, I've tried it all. Maybe deep down because they don't really want to quit and they're justifying continuing to smoke because they've tried it all. See, we play all these games with ourselves, right? I'm pretty good at outing games that someone might be playing. This is partly what makes a good hypnotist. See how I was telling you earlier before we started this? There's the science, the mechanics of learning, and then there's nuance. The nuance, which you will not get taught, is how do you flush out two people in front of you, one who just is going through the motions and is never going to quit, and the other who is, that you can't, no one will teach you that. You need to have intuitive guidance. You need to know the right questions. You need to think, and that's what I'm good at. Yeah. That's what I believe
Were you really good at it naturally when you first started?
I was, I think my natural talents, if you want to call them that, is that I've always been a people person.
Okay.
I like people, not numbers, and and that's still the case. I've always been able to connect with people, make people feel comfortable, do appropriate humour with who's in front of me. That obviously helps. If you're going to be in any kind of therapy, you need to be able to build rapport. There's the word. That's what it really is. It's rapport building. If you're a good people person and you can get people to like you, and this is something I try to instill in my 8-year-old, in my boy. It's like, you know what? Don't worry so much. I'm not saying these words exactly to him now, but I will eventually. Don't worry so much on the test results and memorizing facts and figures. Get people to like you. Be yourself. Don't put it on. But if you can get people to like you and you're good at connecting and those soft skills, you will be fine. Yeah. You'll be fine. People will want you around. They'll want you as part of their team. Blah, blah, blah. But you can be the most intelligent fact figure number in the world, and everyone hates you. Yeah. What's the point of that?
I think there was a very interesting thing you said, which is, it's an 8-year-old kid, and how do you teach him to be authentic? How do you teach someone to be authentic? That's what I've always wondered, because
define authentic. You need to define these terms first. Yeah. I know what I know, how I mean, but
I would say be authentic, page, which is
be yourself.
Be yourself. Yeah, like when you're talking to someone, you're not appeasing to their better nature. You're being yourself.
Yeah.
Which is easier.
It's easy to say, but many people spend large quantities of their life pretending to be something they're not.
That's what I'm saying. How does someone get out of that? Especially, let's say a teenager. Let's say someone my age. I know it's like, I'm talking about it now, but it's literally every single person. I've actually probably only met a couple of people that are truly authentic people.
Oh, look, I'm pushing 50 and I feel like I've only been living it for a few years.
So it's not.
Be who you really are. Look, there's a few elements to it. A lot of people are trapped in this identity crisis, right? Follow this. Yeah. People are trapped in this idea. I am not who I think I am. Mm-hmm. I am not who you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. Let that sink in.
Exactly.
A lot of people are trapped in this idea of what they think you think they are. It's a complete falsehood.
And they behave depending on that,
It's a complete falsehood. Because if I create a cloud over here of what I want you to think I am, then it's all bullshit. Because even if you like the cloud, deep down I feel hollow, empty and shallow because that isn't me.
Yeah.
Right? So whether you like, if you don't like the cloud I'm creating here, well, deep down that's cool because it's not really me. He doesn't like this thing I put forward, but that's okay because it's not me. And if you do like it, I might think that's a win, but it's hollow because that's not really who I am. So they like a mannequin version of me.
Well, what if that cloud, just to work on that analogy, what if that cloud was just so, you can't see what you are anymore?
Wow, look, well, look, there are a lot of people that have spent and invested so much time, energy and effort in their lives to create something they're not. Yeah. And I've known a lot of people in spiritual circles. That's why I pulled away from all that. I used to love attending spiritual circles. Like people that talk about, meditation circles and new ages.
Like the gurus.
New ages.
Yeah.
Oh, not just gurus, just, anyone who... Just on a Facebook event, we're going to do breath work and all these new ages, these spiritual types, right? That is an environment where you meet a lot of people trying to create an image to make others, because there's the trappings of spirituality, right? I'm a vegan, I do breath work, I meditate 1 hour every day.
It's virtue signaling.
I walk barefoot. They're the trappings of spirituality. I fast every month for 3 days. That's great. And if, like that stuff is good in and of itself, but I've met a lot of people who do that because they're trapped in the idea that, well, that's what spiritual people do. That's what they do. Like, I have to do that. I have to be seen to do that. Different people have varying levels of how much those activities really are who they are, or, well, that's what I have to do if I'm going to be spiritual. Whereas I feel like I've come full circle in a sense that the most spiritual thing you can do is be who you really are. Why did you come to this planet? Why are you here? God doesn't make... If you've been created in the image of God, let's try to be logical here for a second, right? If you are a tiny piece of the one, God, whatever you want to call it, that must mean that you have some of the qualities of... If you take a cup of seawater and separate it from the ocean, that has the qualities of the seawater. Yeah. So deep down, under all our neuroses and stuff, we are a piece of that, right? So if you just get in touch with that and get rid of the layers like self-worth, I'm not good enough, I'm not slim enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good looking enough, I'm not this. We overlay all this shit on ourselves. Yeah. And we pick it up generally from parents and upbringing, and it's not ours. It's something you've picked up. You can pretty much bet any negative belief you have about yourself is not really yours. It's something you picked up along your path. You allowed someone else to inject that into you. You could even take because I like the place where science and spirituality meet. I don't think all of one or the other is not helpful. Ultimately, I like something. I like to have one foot in a grounded science thing and the other foot in the clouds and spiritual. And it's a healthy. I like to try to be balanced, right? So whether someone believes in God or anything, deep down, even if you were to take a more left brain, materialistic, scientific approach, look at the wowness of this. And this is why I follow the science foundation that made this crystal, because Nassim Haramein, who's the director of the research, he's quite a spiritual, cosmological, but he's a physicist doing unified field theory. Like, this is deep physics that when you understand, you can engineer devices that will levitate and control gravity. And this crystal's been made made by them.
What was the group?
It's called the Resonance Science Foundation. Resonance Science Foundation, Nassim Haramein. This crystal's been grown in a lab. Yeah. And it actually it's actually a mini free energy device. It produces photons. It changes the structure of water. It produces
light?
Yeah. Photons pop out of it. It's been put in it's been put in a Faraday cage, is what they call it, a Faraday cage, where they can detect what's emanating from it. And it's emanating photons, which are packets of light.
Yeah, exactly.
Energy. So it's producing energy. I wear it mainly because, and I was following him for a very long time. Any YouTube, you watch the interviewers here, he really brings together spirituality, but puts a science behind it. Honestly, it's amazing. It really can bridge science and spirituality. But you see a lot of spiritual folk, new age folk, they'll put the word quantum in front of their stuff and think it's scientific now. Quantum yoga, quantum breath work. It's like, all of a sudden, it's scientific. It's like, just own it. Just own what you are. Don't try and make up stuff just because you think it will produce a better perception or make a stronger image in someone else. Like, so many people are doing that. It's just, I don't know, it's just a waste of energy. Man, I'm pushing 50. After a while, you sound
exhausted with those type of people.
Yeah, look,
that's what it sounds to me. And I don't blame you.
I am, because this is the thing. I loved being in those new age spiritual things because I love the topic and I'm so interested in this stuff. But after a while, when you're in an environment and you just see a lot of fakeness, it's sad. I pulled away from those communities and circles, but I loved the topic, or what was the topic of it. I guess, you know what I mean? It's like,
is it because you saw you were fearful that you would become like that, or you saw yourself gravitating towards that, or you just didn't like it?
This is the thing: the more you become, or the more you are focused on manifesting who you really are, you become more clear on what you're not. And at a certain point, when you keep getting this was my experience anyway, the more I'm in front of what I'm not, the more I don't want to be there. Right? It's I like using stupid, simple analogies, right? If you're a fish, but you don't know for the longest time you're a fish, but you see all the lizards out on the desert, you think they're having a great time and they've got it all, and I want to be like that, and I want those lizards to think I'm a lizard, so I'll do all the stuff lizards do. And you go out and then you realize, actually, I'm a fucking fish, because, you know, I've spent all this time trying to understand who and what I am, and I've actually come to realize I'm a fish. Well, then you no longer want to be on the sand, you want to be in the water.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's actually a very good analogy.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's not really like, yeah.
Whereas most people are trying to climb a tree when really they don't realize they're fish.
Yeah.
Go find the water.
That's Einstein.
You know, like
that's what I mean by I asked the question. I'm like, what if you've lived your whole life? Let's say I reached the age of 60, which is, and I've acted my whole life. I haven't moved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you go about finding what you are?
Well, first of all, you have to ask yourself the right questions.
Yeah.
Dr. DeMartini, one of my mentors who I've met and done course with, he has said many times, the quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions you ask. Questions, right? So most people, consciously or unconsciously, might live their life with the driving question of, how can I get a better job? How can I make more money? How can I avoid getting into trouble? And la la la. Like, unconsciously, if people were to really sit down and ask themselves, my behavior, what I do with my body, my time, my energy and effort, what if there was a question driving why I say what I say and do what I do, it would pretty much come down to those questions. How can I earn money? How can I keep my job? How can I keep my partner happy? And look, you know, it's chop wood, carry water, enlightenment. There's this Buddhist thing.
Yeah.
There are some things you just have to do. You know, if you're responsible, you got blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough that when I was young, a teenager, I had, you know, I dabbled in weed early, and weed made me open up my mind to other levels of consciousness. And I had a mentor at the time, thank God that I did. And early on in my life, I asked myself 3 questions that still are my rudder till today. Everything I do, everything I am, falls into continuing to answer one of or two or a combination of these questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What's this all about? That's it. Who am I, really, truly? Why am I here? As in, what am I here to do? What is my meaning? What is my mission, my purpose? And what's reality? What's this all about? That's it. If you cannot get to 60, to come back to your question, if the earlier you ask yourself good questions, the less likely you will reach retirement age and feel like you've lived an empty, shallow life. You can't ask yourself questions like that, and because the questions will guide what books you read, what podcasts you listen to, the people you hang out with, your interests.
Of course.
Most people don't take the time to really ponder, what is it that's truly driving my existence? And like, some people just, and look, I'm lucky and I'm very blessed that I live a life and I came across my business early enough that I have the freedom. I haven't had a job in many years. I haven't been an employee for a long time, right? I have the beautiful luxury and devil of time and freedom. Some people, a 40, 50, 60 hour a week job, although they may bitch about it, it's actually a blessing in disguise, because if they had idle time's a devil's playground.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right? It's like, let's say you had all the money in the world and you could quit your job tomorrow. What would you do? Most people might go, I'll take a world holiday, I'll pay off the house, buy a car. That's all great. Let's say that's all done. You've done all of that. You've traveled all the world. You've got the cars and the big house. Then what?
Drugs, probably.
Like drugs, food, TV,
it doesn't get
God
healthier.
knows what.
Yeah.
Because this is what I've often said: money will buy you stuff and experiences, but they will never buy you meaning or purpose. Never.
Yeah.
We've all seen rich and famous people whose lives are just ruined and stuff. They're missing meaning and purpose. Money can't buy a sense of meaning and purpose. Like, if you're living your life and you feel like you're doing what you're meant to do, clearly this is all part of whether you've consciously asked yourself that question, what am I here to do? This is part of it. What you're doing right now is part of what you feel inspired to do.
That's a good point.
This is why I love, interacting with people like that, especially young folk like you.
Yeah.
If there's anything I can do is leave a few breadcrumbs behind me to the younger folk. I would have loved to have done this back when I was your age.
Well, that's literally the reason that I'm asking.
Clearly, this is part of your inspiration, and you don't know where this will lead. But no, like Steve Jobs said, you can only look back and see what led to where you are. This Stanford speech he gave.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. You can't look forward and necessarily know, but you can look back, and you'll probably look back and you'll go, God, if I didn't do that, that wouldn't have led to that, and that wouldn't have led to that. And you'll see everything's planned. It's okay. Just let go of the oars. The one, God, it has a plan for you.
Look, I don't want to turn this into a therapy session, even though that would be pretty entertaining.
Oh, look, feel free. I don't mind. I don't mind.
The reason that I asked you that question is because I'm at an age now where most people look at me and be like, you're still a child. You know nothing. You know nothing about the world, which I'm not going to argue with that.
You said.
I'm turning 18 in a month.
God, you're not even legally
so I'm not even.
drink.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not even. I haven't even started beginning to live my life.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's why I asked that question. Is that now I'm at a stage where I'm slowly starting to understand the world, kind of in a way.
Believe me, there's always more when you think.
Now you can see that's what everyone says. Everyone's like, you're never, even when you're 30, you're still.
Yeah.
You're not really, you haven't really lived enough.
Honestly, if I could leave any words of wisdom, that, for what it's worth, is those questions of what really excites me, what really, almost think of it as ways, let's say money wasn't an issue. Let's say I had all the money in the world. What would I love? What would I do? What kind of thing would I love to do, even if it wasn't for the money? I mean, and look, there's many nuances and little kinks to iron out in that, but I still have to pay bills. Yes, okay, totally. And look, it's not like that's a question you have to ruminate on for every moment of your waking life, but just spend 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day in a meditative state, in prayer. Prayer and meditation, I see it, the same kind of thing.
I say the exact
just
same
be
thing.
very present with yourself. Ponder something. Ponder it. Okay. You can go as high and as broad as you want in the moment. One day you might ponder, what is the meaning of my life? The next day you might go, okay, I want to, rekindle my podcast. Okay, okay, just set an intention and then go into the state. Let it go. It's like you're bringing a pebble into the lake of the cosmos. Drop it in there and then just trust the rest. Trust the universe has your back. Trust,
Have you, when you were younger, and it's okay if you don't want to answer this.
There's very little I won't answer, man. I'm an open book.
Would you consider yourself an anxious person when you were a teenager?
No.
Not at all?
No, never.
Is that why...
The only time I did start getting anxious is at the end of my weed smoking career.
That's what
it started getting really... It started amazing. I was like, wow, I was tapping into state. Opened up my mind. But as I look back... And now I'm an advocate of cannabis, right? For all its... You abuse anything, it could kick you in the ass. Don't blame the tool. It's you.
It's you,
alcohol isn't evil in and of itself. If you abuse it, it'll kick your ass. Don't blame the alcohol. Although, it's the worst drug on the planet. But anyway, for many reasons. I started to get paranoid, anxious. There was a point in my cannabis use that it was amazing, and then it started to get not good, so I had to stop. I blew a fuse, literally.
I think that's normal, because I did read a study where it's like, no matter what personality traits you have, what you fall on the spectrum is that as you progress in your weed smoking career, I guess, you get more and more anxious.
Especially this is the weird thing with weed. It can slow people down. Just calm down, switch off. For me, it sped me up because I was already in my head and it was like petrol on that fire, and I just couldn't handle it. I was getting paranoid, and I had a pretty
especially because you were younger as well. I think it's
In my last year at university, I mean, I'll go so far and be as vulnerable as I had a drug-induced psychosis. I tried to kill myself.
Was that
I still got the marks. I still got the marks on my wrist to prove it. Early on in what?
In when you first started smoking?
No. I'd already been smoking. Oh, I mean, compared to who? I mean, some people smoke all their lives. I was probably smoking at that point. It was, well, I had my first experience with it at 15. This drug-induced psychosis happened when I was in my last year at university.
So early 20s.
So early 20s. So I completed my last year of uni in a haze, you know, with and antipsychotic medication and la la. I was anxious then, but that was induced. It wasn't because I was an anxious person. It was because the weed made me that way. Yeah. You know, there's some.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened?
I just got really one bong one night.
Really?
Yep. I was very sensitive. I still am. Look, I take CBD oil and stuff, but it's very low THC. Being stoned just doesn't agree with me. But here's the thing, there's many different ways of looking at this. I see plant medicine, let's call it that as a general term, as deep teachers. Before there were drug companies, there was nature. A lot of active ingredients in pharmaceuticals, they find in nature, right? I believe humans were evolved to have a symbiotic relationship with the plants around them. You know, look at shamanic cultures. They have ayahuasca and there's all these plant medicines, mescaline from the cactus, They are teachers, right? I see them as spiritual teachers. You have an experience, a mystical, even psychedelics, mushrooms, if you go in with the right intention, in the right state, with the right, then you can have... and this is coming back. Psychedelic therapy is coming back. There's a lot of good, right?
Yeah.
So finally we're waking up to it. If we can just let go of this bullshit we've put, it's illegal, all this bullshit. If we can just research it for what it can do, man, honestly, huge. So the way I view what happened to me is I went to the feet of the teacher of cannabis. I should have stopped. Put it this way. Imagine this. If you were a master teacher, you were a guru, someone very wise, and a student comes to you and you give them lessons, and they don't have to keep coming back. You start to get annoyed. You're like, dude, you've got everything you need. You don't have to keep coming to me. A good teacher wants their student to be gone, not keep coming back to them, right? So this is how I've just made peace with. I'm grateful for what I went through that horrible time. It was challenging, but I'm grateful for it. I just saw it as the cannabis teacher said, because I knew leading up to that, like, oh wow, that was really intense. I probably should quit this. Like, I probably should stop. But what kept me going back to it was those amazing insights and la la la. So I'd get. At first it was 100% insight and no negative, but then it started to be 10% insight, 90% negative, as in the anxiousness. That I should have pulled the brakes much sooner, but I didn't. And the teacher walloped me. The teacher of cannabis went, you know what? Here you go, deal with this. This will keep you away. You've got everything you know. You got everything you need just to work on that. Some people... like overthinkers, they want to read the next thing, watch the next thing, get more and more in here. Sometimes at a certain point, you need to have the wisdom to go, what's better than getting more stuff in my head is just practicing what I already know. Because you know enough already on some level. Yeah. You don't need because there's infinite number of books. You'll go down that black hole and you won't know when to stop. And you lose the opportunity. This is a thing I realised a long time ago. This is why I haven't read a book in a long time. Because I realised what was driving me to the next book, the next thing was, I think I don't know enough. I need to know more. I need to find out more. And what you do is you lose the opportunity to implement a really good piece of something you read ages ago. You get what I mean? You lose yourself in the next thing. And now I'm just trying to focus on some very simple fundamentals to practice true spirituality, which is just be myself. You were made perfectly. Get back to that. And then you're being the most spiritual person on the planet, even though you might still eat meat, even though you won't do yoga, even though you don't You don't have to do any of the trappings. But if you are totally, completely yourself, authentic, who you are, it is the most spiritual thing you can do, in my mind. If you were put on this planet to save and rescue animals, or to, do the most amazing podcasts on the planet, don't compare. This is what we do. We compare ourselves all the time. Social media, one of its main reasons why it depresses people is because it is the perfect platform to produce that identity conundrum I told you earlier.
Yeah.
Think about it. Relate it to Facebook, Instagram. I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. So I'm going to post shit that will make you think I'm this, even though I'm not. Hello? Yeah, it's the ultimate form of comparison. Yeah. Oh, they're on holiday now. We always post our highlights, right? Oh, they're on holiday. Oh, they got a new car. Oh, look where I am. Look at me. Look at me. Oh. My brother is pushing 60 and he still uses his Facebook like he's a 16-year-old. Look at me. Look where I am. Oh, me. Ooh. Oh, look at my car. Look at my McLaren. Look at my Ferrari. Look at which he has. All the trappings of what looks great. Yet he's hollow in here.
He has all the toys,
empty,
but there's nothing
empty in here. It's sad. It's sad, man.
I think you mentioned comparisons, and the first thing that popped into my head was my parents. Because honestly, I have the best parents in the world. Thank God.
Oh, good on you.
And
you chose well. Then you chose them before you came through them.
Really?
That's what I believe.
Really?
I believe you choose a life theme before you're born, and you choose the parents that will help you fulfill that theme the best. I know why I chose my parents. Anyway, go on.
Well, no, I want to explore that more. Wait. So
look, these are all stories, right?
Yeah.
We're surrounded by stories. The question is, what story are you going to consciously or unconsciously buy into? I like the story. I can't give you evidence for this.
It doesn't need evidence.
Give you evidence for the proof of water or whatever. Need evidence.
Yeah.
I believe we're eternal, infinite souls, perfect in every way, eternal, no beginning, no end. You can ask what was at the beginning, but that's like asking,
it has no relevance.
What does dry water feel like?
Yeah.
Like I can ask that question, but it's nonsensical, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, and I believe, that, a soul can just, these bodies we know are temporary, but there's some spark, there's something of you that is eternal, right? That's part of the one, the whole, and then just goes back to it afterwards. Just my beliefs, right? And, when I die, I'll re-emerge as a soul, wake up and go, wow, that dream seemed really real. But, man, I know this is real. That was just a dream, There's an idea that we're just dreaming this, where our spirits, our souls are still there. The true essence of what we are is up there. And we dream into this. We dream our real. And then when we die, it's like waking up from a dream. Yeah. Wow, that seemed really real. And then you go back up there. Next time around, oh, wow, that life, oh, wow, I experienced what it was like to be a healer through hypnosis and what it was like to have a pretty hard dad and a blah, blah, blah. And I experienced going through a real major psychosis challenge and blah, blah, blah. What do I want to experience this time? What's the theme I'd like to experience? I'd like to experience this as a theme, being a, I don't know, a celebrity or being this or I want to explore the homelessness thing, being without a home or being this or general theme. And then you choose roughly, okay, where in the world should I be? If I want that theme and I want to explore that theme, where should I? Because we could have been born anywhere on the earth. Yeah. Like it's just random. People just, it's random. Your mum and dad got together. And I don't see it that way. I see, okay. That maybe that part of the world. Oh, that mum, that dad. No, you've got a big view, and then you forget. The birthing process is Control Alt Delete, forget, and then.
So that true essence of part of us that chooses what kind of
it's like mask to take like on. A blueprint. You create a blueprint before you choose to incarnate.
But that thing that chooses to incarnate, would you say that's our true self?
That's your higher self, your soul,
It's not something we can imitate here. What do you think it is?
Oh, there's a connection, a thread. Yeah. You're connected to that. I believe when you go to sleep, you reconnect with that part.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason I think we sleep and have dreams. You reconnect with that part of who you are. You know, we use it in our language. You know, what's your dream? What's your dream? Oh, I want to live my dream.
Yeah,
What do we say? What do we mean when we say that kind of thing? It's like, oh, I want to connect with some higher part of me that has an image of the perfect thing I would love. Like some higher part of you is holding that as a placeholder, that dream. And you can connect with, this is why I always encourage people to meditate. I've been meditating since I was, 15, 16? It's like 30 years of meditation. Like, I encourage, because it's a skill. Like, if you meditate and spend some time going inward, where the essence of you is, it's not out there, it's in here. Masters have said this for years. All spiritual masters have said, go within. The kingdom of heaven is within.
Yeah.
Follow the inside. Jesus has the emanating from the heart, like go inside. This is a common theme. They must have said that for a reason, Go within, spend time. I only found this, I'm usually very good at language and spotting good, funny things in language, interesting things in language. Listen is an anagram of silent.
Oh, it is.
That eluded me for the longest time. And I'm like, shit. You know how they say... listening is sometimes, if you don't listen, you'll miss the end. Listen, be silent, go within and listen. Like, honestly, if we really pay attention to language, the answers are staring at us right in the face.
Yeah.
If you follow language, how and why and where it started and how it's evolved, it's deep. It's a good rabbit hole.
I remember I did watch a documentary when I first went into high school. And I didn't understand half the stuff they were talking about, but I do remember a scene where they compared it to something so abstract, like it's
language is
we're
powerful.
Emanating our like I don't remember what it was, but it was something so abstract that you wouldn't say in a normal conversation about language.
Emanating what?
I think it was like emanating our deep.
Like it's in like an inner desire in a way.
Yeah, it's something non-human. That's all I remember was saying.
Yeah, right. That's interesting. That's an interesting.
It's emanating something that's beyond human. It's beyond our instinctual.
Well, Well, I've listened to some interesting people in the past. Anthropologists are people that study, the evolution of people and blah, blah. And Terrence McKenna was one of them, an evolutionary biologist, anthropologist. He died in 93, I think it was. But he was also a psychonaut, like into psychedelics, and he did a lot. Terrence McKenna, anyone can just put his name into YouTube. And he has a theory of the missing link. We don't know what this jump was from as we evolved and then we all of a sudden jumped. There's a missing link there, right? He has an argument. He proposes a theory that psychedelics were a part of this big jump in our brain size and this evolutionary leap, that psychedelics had a role to play in that. Because it's like speeding up the evolution button, because you got to think of where we were. We were roaming around apes, and we would have eaten whatever, anything that seemed edible. We would have eaten.
It's the stoned ape theory. I've heard about it. Yeah.
Right, and the mushroom. I don't know if you've had mushrooms before, but if you have a proper dose, it is a mystical experience. People have this is what all the research is showing. People that have had the proper dose of mushrooms rate it in the top 5 of the most significant moments of that, right next to becoming a parent, getting married.
It becomes spiritual.
Huge, right? Now imagine what that kind of experience would have on a monkey, right? To have that kind of that, when we were cavemen or whatever too, to fast forward a little bit, before there was speech, this is getting back to what you were saying, this utterance. Like if I wanted to say, pass me that stick with fire on it, it would have started with like utterance. And I can relate to that because when I've had a few, and I haven't had many, I've had enough, but not many psychedelic experiences, it's like, you're gripped by something so big, you don't even know, you can't even put the words to it. So all that's left is like utterances. And this is where we are today with our language. Imagine back then, it's a very compelling story. Yeah. Right? That psychedelics were part of the evolving human.
Have you heard of DMT?
Yeah, I've had that experience.
You've used DMT?
Oh, yeah.
Bro, this interests
Shit,
me
man.
so much. I can't
What's
try
that?
it now, like DMT. It interests me so much.
Why can't you try it now?
I feel like I'll just have an anxiety attack. I'll just break down.
No. If anything, it'll show you where the true cause of that is
Really?
coming from. It'll show it to you.
I don't know. I feel like I'm too young for it now.
You can have the opportunity to really let it go. DMT,
Yeah.
the crystallized part where you smoke it, it's literally a few minutes process. You feel like you're in it for hours, but me on the outside, looking at the actual time, it's a few minutes. You go into a timeless space. Whereas ayahuasca and other plant medicines and natural medicines, you'll be in that experience all night. Like it's long, it's drawn out. It gives you more time to ask the plant questions, and like, whereas DMT is like you're in and out, and oh my god, it's
But it doesn't
full
feel
on.
like
It's full on.
Yeah.
It's full on.
It's because what I've, at least from like people describing what they've experienced, no one describes it as being high ever.
Oh, it's
Not high as in cannabis, but even high in general with any other drug.
No. This is what makes me laugh when people dump it in the box of
Yeah.
recreational drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have the experience and you tell me whether that was recreational.
And then people are scared to try it, so that's why they try
man.
and justify, but like,
recreational, like it's ice or speed or coke. Like, Jesus.
Can you describe the
my
experience?
God.
Because most people can't describe what they saw.
Oh, look, it's... You know what? It'd be like a virgin saying, "Can you describe what sex is like?" Like it's when the value of something is in the experience of it, describing it's pointless. It's like, can you describe what it's like to see the Grand Canyon for the first time? It's an experience
It's
you
a
have
feeling.
to have.
It's a feeling.
Like,
It's a feeling. Yeah.
me putting words on it and trying to express it is like...
Okay, how about what you saw?
What I
did
saw.
you say?
I saw exactly what I needed to. But you see, that's not as dumb as it sounds, because it will show you exactly what you need. You will have the experience you need. Even when people have a bad trip, and I've often said this to people, the real value of the experience is to be had in how you integrate it for weeks, months, even years afterwards. It's like it's like these experiences in one sense will give you so much to work with. It gives you pieces of and then you have to it gives you, let's say it's a 1 million piece puzzle. Yeah. It'll give you pieces, but they'll give you all the million pieces, but they're just at your feet. And the integration, and it's like you're having a wow moment for all individual pieces of the puzzle. Oh my God, look at that. But then you have to integrate. Okay, now you have to put the puzzle together. That can take years or the rest of your life. This is why it's not
just one experience.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Think of it this way: if most people who are doing it are rating it in the top 5 most powerful experiences of their life, it's meaningful. It's big.
No, of course,
right?
yeah. Like that.
That can take the rest of your life to integrate. And some people are better at integrating than others. The challenge, if you have a bad trip, you can actually also have bad experiences in it. You could be looking at one of those puzzle pieces. Oh my God, amazing. Oh shit. And horror. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, like, it's showing you more of you. On the highest ultimate level, it's just all you that you're avoiding, fearful. It's just more of you, and that's tough for some people. Real narcissists and sociopaths and all that, they really should do that experience. It will change you. I think you have to have some kind of idea of what your true self is before you try that experience. Oh, because I think it'll just terrify you. That's the reason I don't want to try it now at this age, or even for a while. Yeah. Look, in the circles I've sat in, I haven't come across a 17-year-old.
Yeah, well, that's not the opposite. Like, that's
mind you, there are some people who will say, "Yeah, I did LSD when I was 14. I did that." Yeah, but you know what? You were too young, dumb, and full of cum to even know, or to be a bit crass. But like people, years later, they'll go, "Oh, I've had that experience. I did that when I was a teenager." Yeah, but that's like when you've lived some life, you know, when you're that age, you just do it for and you'll have a certain experience. And you're a certain age and you've been through some stuff, you've got some life under your belt, and then you do it with the right intention. It's totally different.
I think your capacity to learn something is way more developed
totally
when you're older. So
that's like saying, I got drunk on that wine when I was 14. That's not going to be the same as getting drunk on it when you are 35 or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could literally talk about DMT and all that.
It's in every living thing on the planet.
Yeah.
You've got it naturally already in you.
I've heard about that.
You can activate it through. This is why breath work is now such a buzz thing now. You know, you can't throw a rock and not land on someone who does breath work these days. And look, I've done that. And when you breathe in a certain way, constant, like for a good 20, 15 minutes, you're going to activate the DMT centers and you have an actual high without needing to, get it from a plant or something. But this is the good thing about, and this is again something that Terrence McKenna said. He said the way he assesses whether he's going to take a substance is how much does it mirror something I already have in me, in my chemistry, right? If something's cooked up in a garage that has no similarity to what I already have going on in my brain, no thanks, I'm not going to take that. Ice and, synthetically made, man-made drugs. If something is like, this is a concentrated dose of something that's in every living thing, including my brain already, that's a pretty good yardstick. It doesn't mean you won't have a great experience every time. You can have terrifying experiences, absolutely. But usually, more often than not, if you can integrate it well, maybe a bit of guidance from, the shaman or whatever, then you've got an opportunity. It's an opportunity.
It's interesting what you said about breath work, because what you're saying is that literally breath work alters your level of consciousness if you do it
how
properly.
you breathe, yeah.
So I wanted to get into the subconscious. The idea of the subconscious mind in hypnotherapy, is that only the Freudian understanding of it?
Freudian.
As in how the subconscious just kind of bleeds into the conscious?
Freud stuff. Wow, you're really testing me here. When we went back years ago and learnt about the Freud, he might use the id, subconscious, but
how do you guys understand
he defined it differently. My connection and how I define and how I relate to the unconscious mind, subconscious, isn't sort of textbook stuff that you
that's
might
why I'm
learn.
asking. So what is your understanding of that?
My understanding, when I see someone, whether I say this in a session, usually I don't, depends on the person in front of me. The unconscious isn't, most people see it as something down, like going into the basement. It's underneath, it's lower. It's in the words, subconscious, unconscious. It gives this impression that you're going down in the basement to sort out stuff. I see it as reconnecting more with your higher self, because your unconscious is the deep intelligence that's running that machine right there. When you contemplate, whether you see it as an evolutionary thing or by design, I see it as a bit of an in-between. There's some divine design, but there's also, it's evolved as well.
Of course.
They're both, I see both happening, just on that logical level alone, there must be something really intelligent running this body. This meat sack you're inhabiting right now is made up of about 40 to 50 trillion cells. Every second, 1 million cells are coming and going. You're an entire, there isn't a single cell in that body of yours that was there 7 years ago. So you are literally on a cellular level, yet you have memories older than 7 years. How can I have a memory that is older than 7 when the stuff, the material that makes me up, none of what I have right now in this meat sack was there 7 years ago. There's something intelligent clearly running your body. You don't have to give a single thought to managing and regulating your body temperature. If your temperature goes up or down by 1 degree, you're really sick. Hence they take your temperature when you're not well. So it's a fine-tuned Formula One, this vehicle. You put 1 grain of sand in that tank, it's going to screw up the whole. That's how finely tuned this machine is. There's something intelligent running the show. right? So my conception and definition of the unconscious is you're actually you're merging with your higher self, the part of you that has all the answers, the part of you that has been storing every experience you've ever had from the moment you were born. That's a higher version.
So it literally is
that's
a spiritual...
not a deep... that's the way I like to see it. That's the way I like to define it, because I like the spiritual side of things. And by spirit, even the word spiritual is a loaded word. Like, what do you mean by that? I just mean I'm interested in the stuff beyond the five senses. Just because you can't see, smell, taste, touch it doesn't mean, that it's not there,
I have an opinion about people who don't find these things interesting, which is going to piss a lot of people off. And I talked to
We're
my
here
mates,
to piss off some people,
I
right?
don't understand how someone cannot find this stuff interesting. It kind of pisses me off a little bit that if I had a mate here and we're having this discussion and he just sits here and he's like, I can't focus.
But you see, this is how I would frame something like that. Maybe that person's life theme, maybe the two of you made a soul contract before you were both born. This is how I think someone's worldview enables them to either integrate this crazy world or they're going to get anxious because they can't understand it. You need to have a broad worldview. The broader your worldview is, the more you can make sense of the craziness and weirdness of why are there people that don't find right? The broader the view. So, maybe his life path, the blueprint he chose before being born is, I want to follow this path of not being open to this aspect of reality because I want to explore this. And if I am open to that, it'll actually interrupt my ability to explore this life theme. So I'm going to come in with these kind of blinkers to make me focused on what I want to explore. And maybe the two of you made an agreement where you're like two souls, talk your soul and his soul, and you're like, you know what, I want to explore all of this stuff and what it's about. And he went, you know what, I'll play the role, like two actors, I'll play the role of being not open to that stuff. So then I can help you explore it by me being close to it. I will be helping you to explain it in a more clear way to be more compelling.
Wow.
I can't give you any evidence that you get what I mean. And you want to go I think if we don't piss off everyone at least once in this, we haven't done a good job. Yeah. To take this really to its extreme, right? People who murder people, murderers, in the family, even horrific things, right? Yeah. Let's say we're two souls and you want to experience the theme of forgiveness. You know what? In my last life, whether you believe that or not, because souls are eternal. Yeah. So, okay, I could incarnate here, there, everywhere. Time is irrelevant. Everything is here and now. Yeah. Time is just, an illusion. Well, its experience is real, but it's an illusion. Let's say, you know what, my last life, you're the soul, I'm a soul. We're part of each other's soul family. So we'll be traveling forever, eternity is part of your soul family. And next time around, you're like, you know what, I wasn't very forgiving. I would cut people short. Next life theme, part of my blueprint is forgiveness. And I would make the ultimate sacrifice of a whole life to go, you know what I'm willing to do for you because there's such love between us? I will do something in your life that will absolutely give you the best opportunity to explore forgiveness. I don't know what, but I'm going to do something that will almost sacrifice this version of an incarnation. And then I murder someone you love, your child. What? Now I'm taking this example to the extreme, right? Right? I murdered someone you love. I end up wasting my life in jail. I did it when I was 20. I get a life sentence. Right? And I made the ultimate sacrifice for you. So you had the opportunity to explore forgiveness. Because imagine how hard it would be to forgive me. People would say virtually impossible. But we made a soul agreement. I sacrificed one of my lives because there's such love here. And from that soul perspective, we know we're eternal. We're all good. And then when we both die, you might go, fuck, I missed the opportunity, mate. I'm assuming, because most people would not be. Hey, I'm not saying if someone killed my child, I'd be go, you know what?
Enough,
they just gave me the, let's be clear about that.
That opens
but all I'm offering here is people will go, how could God make that happen? Oh my, whereas I will often keep that silent and just be like, it's horrible. Like, no one would choose that. No one would there choose that. But part of me goes, there's a reason for that too. On some level, there's a reason for that. If everything is God, part of God, and that means if God didn't truly want, I love those memes. If there was one thing on the planet you could get rid of, fuck, nothing. You know what I'd get rid of? The need to ask what has to be gotten rid of. Because everything is it doesn't mean you shouldn't have preferences. I'm not saying, let everything go. It's all good. We're all one, love and light. It all has its place. But it helps you navigate. Who am I really? What am I about? No, I'm not about that. I'm not about that. I'm all about that. No, that's not me. But ultimately, if it exists for a reason. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't get behind what you believe should be and manifest and create some stuff in the world. What I'm sharing can help just put a little bit of balm or soothing on the
exactly.
It's like, you know what? That night, that soul may have had an arrangement with you going, and you know what? Some souls may choose, I don't want to live a full. I'm just throwing things out there that I know for me, when I've gone through really hard stuff, this perspective just soothes me a bit. Yeah. It just soothes, It's like maybe that soul didn't want to live to 80, 90. Yeah. Not all souls. Some souls may die miscarriage. And maybe it's because that soul wanted that mother and father to do a healing of, it's a challenging thing for a couple when they have a stillborn people, how could that exist? Well, what's the meaning of that? How could that have any purpose? Maybe that soul was like, you know what? I don't want to incarnate. I don't want to live a physical life, but you two have something to heal that if I came in and just did that for the two of you, it's a gift for the parents.
Yeah.
And then you get, like, I think, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
I think, that makes complete sense. I think that you have to give it time. These things, when these things happen, definitely like for example, like
how are we going on?
I don't know. We can talk for it's just past 2, but they haven't came in yet, so we'll keep it.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. See that's a perfect example right there of intuitive guidance. When you meditate for as long as I have, you just tend to be and then like that's just a tiny, silly, small example. I tell people, if you meditate for long enough, you will start to develop skills where you just know you're in the right place at the right time, and synchronicity just confirms it. That's a silly little example, but I tell you, what was the time? And seconds later, it's like some part of me
being
knew.
there just makes sense.
Some part of me just knew. Anyway,
this conversation
we could do a part 2.
We have to, because that's ridiculous. We didn't even get to talk about that much about hypnotherapy.
But you know what? You have to believe that whatever was exchanged here was perfect. This is why I don't like scripting too much, and that's why I said when you sent me, this is roughly what I said, no problem. I'm not going to even, because I know whatever is going to be said will be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. No, because it's a good flow to have where it's a good conversation. That's it.
So if you ever want me back, no problem.
That's it. Next time we're going to try DMT, and then we're going
to so all of you get some, and we'll all do it together.
We're going to do it together.
All the viewers.
A cult where we just try it. I'm going to link all of Nick's stuff in the description below.
That was fun. That was fun.
No, 100% we're going to do it again. That went by quick, man. That went by too quick.
Honestly, when you're talking about that kind of stuff, time is a conscious man-made creation. It's not real.
It doesn't end.
Like this couch or this microphone. It's not real. It's an idea that has ruled our existence. But anyway. Yep.
So,
Cool. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick, for coming, man.